Well, let's talk to football presenter Charlie Webster. You campaign for better treatment of, women in sporting circles. You must have been appalled by this particular case. What on earth was he thinking?
Oh, I mean, I can't answer that. I'm not Adam Johnson, but I think we've seen, as you've just highlighted there, that there's been various cases of this. I think the problem is that from a very young age, they're just boys. These footballers are scouted at boys, and they're a lot of the time from humble beginnings, and all of a sudden they've got this instrumental amount of power. And we have to remember that sexual abuse is not about sex, it's about power. It's about that kind of power relationship over their victim, and they have a huge amount of money, and then they're not really taught what to do with it. And the power they have, which we've seen, they're role models. I mean, this young girl was a season ticket holder for Sunderland. She idolised Adam Johnson. He was her hero, and we see that so often with the power that football can have.
Charlie, do you think the club should take more responsibility then? Do you think they have to stand up and say, we've got to make sure that these youngsters that come from humble beginnings are properly sort of guided through what can be a sort of a pretty torrid time in terms of attention and money and all that?
I think that's so important. You hit the nail on the head there, that clubs and the organisations should take responsibility. The governing bodies, that's what they're there for the good of the game. They should protect football players, and they should also protect their fans. I mentioned in the earlier hour that there's a fantastic project that is happening, so there are positive steps. Even in the last 18 months, there's been a significant change. The fact that Sunderland, within 24 hours, ripped up his contract, terminated it without notice. The sponsors followed immediately. We haven't seen that in the past. The project I mentioned in the earlier hour with Women's Aid is called Football United. I believe that you played in a football match for them as well, which raised awareness of those issues. And what Women's Aid are trying to do, which is great because they've got the support of the Premier League and they've got the support of the PFA, is to educate players and also educate society, because on the flip side, whether we like it or not, they are role models, rightfully or wrongfully. So if we can get footballers standing up and saying, this behaviour is wrong, and addressing sexism, which is the root of, sexual violence against women and girls, and sexual and domestic abuse. If we can get them standing up, then, the rest of society will follow. We've seen fantastic work in football with racism, the Kick It Out campaign, homophobia, and we need to take sexism seriously within the game and within sport as well.
Yeah. All right, Charlie, thank you. Let's talk to the man who first spotted Adam Johnson, football scout Peter Kirkley. Peter, thanks very much indeed for joining us. I mean, for you, yesterday, you're this young lad who you thought had so much talent and a promising future, and he's just thrown it all away.
Yes, he has. Yeah. It's a complete shock, because as a youngster he was very small, very frail, and he had to work hard to get himself into the position where he is now, or where he was now, and it just disappoints me.
Why do you think it's gone wrong here, Peter? What has happened that has taken this incredibly talented, gifted footballer and to throw that all away, as Susanna said?
I don't know, because I've been involved with a lot of many players over the years, and this is the first time that I've come across something like this. The previous lads that I've been involved with, and there's some very famous lads, never got themselves into that sort of environment.
Was it I mean, just tell us a little bit about him. Was he vulnerable, do you think, to this all going to his head? I mean, we've just been speaking to Charlie about the fact that, sometimes these lads, they get all this wealth, they get all this power, and then he used that to exploit, a child, effectively. How can we stop that happening?
I think if it's going to happen, it'll happen, because there's been so many players through the years who haven't done it. So why does it need to happen now? As a youngster, he was one of the smallest players around, and give it credit to Middlesbrough, where they took a chance on him and took him in, and worked with him, and he worked hard, and his parents were so supportive. And I noticed that even now, his dad is on every clip where you see him going into court. His dad is still there supporting him. They are the people that I feel really sorry for. The people that have given so much of their lives, as you might say, to bringing them along, and this has turned out for them.
And the victim, of course, of the crime, sadly. Peter, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate you joining us, and Charlie, thank you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.